Here we are. We finally have the Smart Staff in our hand, and we're ready to start using it as a lever that unlocks our next level. And so what I want to do now is teach you the single most important move that I know. This is the move that unlocks all the other moves. If you can master this move, you can master anything. So find your base, get into that comfortable position, and hold the staff with your palms down like this. And what I want you to do is this, and laugh at it. We probably all did that laugh because, swear to God, in the real space classes, everyone, thousands upon thousands of people, we all go, ha. So the question becomes, why am I having you do this? Why am I having you drop the staff and laugh at it? See if you can answer. Because what's happening here is that we're talking about our incredible power that we already possess, and we're talking about gaining rapid skill acquisition, and we're talking about being able to unlock moves at light speed. And so what happened so often in the beginning, before that we learned this move, was that people would go, I totally get this. Yeah, I get it. I'm a Jedi. I got this. I'm Neo. Bonk. And they would just hit themselves with a heavy fire staff, and that was obviously not good. And so what we learned is that what we're doing here, if we're correct, and I think we are, what we're doing here is learning how to install new programs into our own operating systems. And more than likely, we haven't done this before. And so think about when you install a big program like Photoshop, you know how it takes a while for the progress bar to load? Let that happen here. What we've found is that we have to allow this process to happen organically. You cannot force the force. You have to allow it to come. And so the more that you try to force it, quite often the further you push it away. For example, we're learning how to flow here. We're learning how to move in conjunction with the staff in a way that doesn't impede its progress and just goes around and around. And if I... What does that do to my flow? Yeah, it chops it. It's gone. And so if you get upset at yourself, you're going to slow your process down. And so what I would like to invite you to is let it happen naturally and don't overpressure yourself. It will come. And also, it might not be your fault. I'm working on how to convey this information in a static format, which means I can't come over and adjust you like I do in the real space classes. And so you might not get something because it's my fault, because I'm not translating it effectively. So do not be mad at yourself, and remember, the mistakes are where the big new moves are. We'll definitely get into that at a future date. For now, I want to make sure I have enough light to finish this out. So, we've got the staff on the ground. Go ahead and put your toes on it. You can use it as a line. Put your toes right on it so that it's straight. And I want you to bring energy up from the ground, bring it straight up your spine. And when you get to your shoulders, bring it straight out with whatever your dominant hand is. If you're right-handed, use your right hand. If you're left-handed, use your left hand. If you're another hand, cool. So take your hand, and what I would like you to do is imagine that there is a figure eight in front of you, and half of it is behind you, and half of it is in front of you. And so what I'd like you to do is take this hand and make it into a sword. There is a blade that goes from the thumb to the forefinger, and I want you to go right down the middle of that figure eight, being very true to that only the blade of the knife can cut. Over and over and over again. Okay, so over and over and over again, being very true to that only the blade of the knife can cut. If you need a different visualization and you're from where I grew up, it's a NASCAR going around a figure 8 track. My homie. Okay, so why am I having you do this? If you said because we're burning it into our muscle memory, you are correct. Here's the thing. Anytime that you're learning a move with the staff, realize that if you have a smart staff, it's padded, but it is still very much a weapon. And so what happens is that when you're learning a move, these thought processes come up. If you don't know what you're doing, you're immediately concerned with hitting yourself with the staff. And that is a giant browser window popped up on your mental desktop. That's a giant program. And you're also worried about if you're studying with friends or if you're in the living room and you're near the lamp or the flat screen, you're worried about hitting a friend or breaking something. That's another fear-based program that's popped up on your mental desktop. And if you're working with a group of people or if you're out in public, you might be worried about the worst thing of all, which is, not gonna do the move in front of the cool kids. And so that's another fear-based program. And think about what happens with your home computer when you have a bunch of browser windows open and you have a bunch of different programs running. Yeah, it slows down, and the reason why is because all the available processing power has been scattered, so nothing can really get done effectively. And so this, by the way, this is one of the great advantages of having the personal computer as a metaphor for the mind, is that if you're studying and you've got music on, you've got the TV on, you're texting, you're twittering, you're God knows whatever else you're doing, you're not effectively studying because your processor is being split and you're not devoting an adequate amount of resources to the problem at hand. Really quickly, you young people, I'm old enough to say that now, you guys are the fastest generation ever. You millennials are so incredible. And I just read about a 15-year-old who found a Mayan city by applying constellations to the map of the ground. That's incredible. That's who you are. However, you guys have trouble with focus. And that's not your fault because it's all about too much stimulus, like Facebook every 6 seconds, and Twitter updates are only 170 characters. You guys are getting all these MTV-style flash cuts in all your films, and so you have more of a challenge holding focus. However, it is your responsibility. And so learn how to focus. Learn self-discipline, because you've got a Ferrari engine for a brain, but if you don't know how to take the e-brake off, you're just going to sit in the Walmart parking lot forever. So, where were we? All right. So while you're spinning, if you're worried about hitting yourself and you're worried about hitting someone else, you have all of this fear-based program sucking away your power. So anytime you start a move, remove the bonky variable. Drop the staff and practice the move, visualize the move inside the comfort and privacy of your own mind. And here's the thing. This isn't just a visualization. This is the exact movement that we're going to be doing with the staff. And you are literally writing a program for the muscles in your arm and shoulder saying, this is what we're going to be doing. Get good at it. And so the superconscious drive goes, oh, we want to do that? All right, let me start crunching the numbers. Let me start working out what needs to happen here. And so now, finally, we're ready to pick up the staff. And so before we begin, let's talk about grip. Your middle finger goes right in that center mark. If you don't have a center mark, get one. It's imperative. And you might be able to check one out from the library. Little note about your grip, because it's super important. Your grip is your connection to the weapon. So what I want you to do is think about gripping it firm, but don't choke it to death, because if you white knuckle it, you've got no flow. But if you hold it too loosely, what happens is two things. Is A, you cheat yourself out of a really good stretch, because this move really gets into the shoulder girdle and opens it up, which will actually relieve stress in your muscles, which will then relieve stress in your mind. So The other thing is that a lot of fire spinners and flow people use this teacup grip because it allows for an easier version of the move without that discipline. But what happens is that if you get to the point where you can go at speed, or if you decide you want to do fire and you have weighted fuel on the ends, what happens is that you get going and all of a sudden the weight pulls it out of your hand and the staff walks itself down into the audience and lights the dude on fire. Want to know how I know that? Yeah, it happened. He'll be walking again soon. Kidding. He's fine now. So, okay. So here's another non-linear attribute of Kung Flow that I want to share with you. We just spent all this time doing this figure 8 move, but then I started talking about grip. And so what happens is that the grip program is front and center now. And so what we want to do is bring the forward weave to front and center. Here to here, here to here. And so just by doing this, we're bringing that back to front. So got that, got that. Okay, here we go. We are about to start spinning. Grip your staff properly, find your base, say this is easy, this is easy, this is easy, and go right into that move. Okay. So here's where it gets interesting. Here's where I need your help. I have no idea what's happening with you right now because this camera only works in one direction. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to need to develop the skill of secondary awareness. And that's where you're able to monitor your own process and accurately and honestly assess what's going on with your kinetics. Because some of you are going to go right into this, and some of you are not going to get it. And normally I can come around and adjust this really easy, but it's pretty hard to fit your hand through the internet, so we're going to have to figure out a way to do it. And so what I would like to invite you to is that if the ends are spinning, see how the ends are spinning here, and it's fluid? That's much better than this. And so if it's going like this, it means there's rigidity in there that's blocking the flow. And so think about the fact that, remember the Kung Fu guys, and they're like, earth energy, fire, water. This is all, I'll spare you. This is all water energy. So you want it to be very fluid. And I know that you've got the whole tutorial laid out in front of you, but learn this move. Don't go forward until you get this move, because this is the basis of everything that is staffs and sword spinning. This move is called the weave. I heard somebody on one of the lightsaber groups call it the infinity spin, which I think is awesome. So remember, we get to call these moves whatever we want. It's our system. There's a couple of them that I think should stay with the names we have, but other than that, we get to create whatever we want. Blank slate, tabula rasa. So make sure that you get this move really clean and really fluid. The temptation will be to go on and learn the fancier moves, but the best example I can give you is snowboarders. When the skater gangster types found snowboarding finally, they would come into the jumps and A, they would snake you, but then B, they would do these incredible half-corked 540 misty flips, and then they'd land and not be able to turn their board because they didn't care about learning how to carve properly. And so no matter how majestic they were in the air, when they landed, it was like, ew, stink. So it's the same thing with this move. Get this to where it is clean and unconscious and just a thing of beauty. Just as a point of reference, I had been spinning for about 8 or 9 years and thought that I had mastered this move. And then I realized I was doing it inefficiently in one way. And it was just like, wow, okay, stay humble, dude. So that's the forward weave. And remember, if you can't get it, try saying, this is easy, this is easy, this is easy.